Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath.
The podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grenville.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
Hello, Diana.
Hey, Polina.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Hey, Meg.
Hey, how are you guys?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me here yet again.
I think we've officially adopted you.
Yep.
Hope you're not too tired of me.
The paperwork goes through tomorrow.
I think I'd be tired of myself first before I'm tired of you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Jude-Ly has gone by way too fast.
Yes.
There's not enough Jude-Ly
Yeah, well.
to make you last the rest of the year.
Yeah, but that's okay. We'll find some other reason to have you back. But for Jude-Ly, our last piece, I know Meg, you were very excited about this particular selection, The Holiday.
I was excited about this.
Uh-oh, are you still excited about this?
Let's just say that my feelings toward this movie have changed since last time I saw it.
Me too. We're going to talk about that.
I'm excited because this is a first timer for me.
This is a first timer.
I never even saw it on a plane, which shocks me, actually.
Okay.
That's more surprising than me not seeing it in a theater in 2006.
Okay.
It's like quintessential plane movie.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume of it, it's on TNT and it's Christmas. Let's watch this.
Oh, yes.
I did rewatch some of it on BART.
Oh.
So it's almost like I watched it on a plane.
So on a moving vehicle, which you were not operating, that's a good thing.
Well, yes, that would have been really terrible.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I did just get my license, so. Yeah.
Can you drive better than Cameron Diaz in this movie?
I sincerely hope I can.
Let's hold on to that for 1 second and get some of the business part of it out of the way.
Yes.
The Holiday, 2006. Dumped and depressed, English Rose Iris agrees to swap homes with similarly unlucky in love Californian Amanda for a much-needed break. Iris finds herself in a palatial Hollywood mansion while Amanda navigates the lanes of a picture-perfect English village. Soon enough, both lovelorn ladies bump into local lads perfect for a romantic pick-me-up. I'm going to add a little bit of detail here. Iris, as portrayed by Kate Winslet.
Ugh.
Amanda, as portrayed by Cameron Diaz. And then the spoken local lads are Jude Law and Jack Black, respectively. We also have some really cool kind of cameo type things, but I got to give a shout out to Eli Wallach.
I was going to say Eli Wallach is like, that turned the whole movie around for me.
Oh wow,
just
okay,
love him.
So, but also like, I was just listening to an episode of Your Favorite's Problematic where they did American Pie, and they did this tiny little shout out to John Cho. So similarly, tiny shout outs to Kathryn Hahn and John Krasinski, and just like Lindsay Lohan and James Franco.
Oh, I loved that.
Just like these little pepperings of actors and actresses where it's just
Dustin Hoffman.
Cameo by Dustin Hoffman.
Who was so much fun. That was such a, this is a bit of trivia which you probably read because it's like, I think the third thing in the IMDb trivia.
Awesome.
Is that he was just driving by a Blockbuster when this was happening, when this was being filmed. And he was like, what's going on here? And because he knew the director, Nancy Myers, who, admirably. Anyway, so, that was awesome.
And you got to have like the little, not podiatrists in this movie per se, like a la Only You, but we've got Rufus Sewell as Iris's I love him, why doesn't he love me guy.
Jasper.
Yeah, he's the opposite of the podiatrist.
He's the
/ accountant.
He's the cad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the writer. He's the deep, dark writer who needs the editor, which is just like a movie we did before, which is Crossing Delancey.
Okay, good.
Same character.
Which good. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, I remembered something.
Yeah, but it was your movie, so I'm just like, crap. What movie did I watch? Oh, and also a tiny moment with Edward Burns playing Edward Burns.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I'm from Long Island.
I forgot about it. I was on the Edward Burns train for a little while when that train was like, really hit town. And then I just never got back on that train. And now I'm like,
Were you watching The Holiday while you were on said train?
no. No, that was later. That was it was another train entirely.
We took this too far. Meg.
Yes.
Meg, this particular movie, in the beginning, you were excited about this.
I was.
Was this your pick?
No, this is
Meg's pick.
This is mine.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So.
And when you suggested it originally, I had this smile on my face where I'm just like, oh, I didn't like this movie the first time I saw it, but I'm excited for you. Yay. Your turn.
So I mentioned in our Gattaca episode that you had me on that I had this sort of Jude Law kick around late 2009, 2010 following the Sherlock Holmes movie, which I really liked.
Right.
So it was during this phase where I was kind of at peak Jude Law fangirliness that I watched The Holiday, and it was shortly after Christmas time. So almost it would have been perfect to watch it right before Christmas, but shortly after Christmas was pretty good too.
Fair.
So I feel like I was in exactly the right mindset to watch The Holiday the first time. The conditions were perfect. It was wintry. Totally in love with Jude Law. And I've never really gravitated towards rom-coms. It's not like my genre of choice, you know? So when I first watched it, I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, here's a rom-com that I enjoyed, and it was the sort of escapism that you expect. And that was kind of my first impression of it. I watched it at home in 2010-ish, probably, so not right when it came out.
Right.
And I think looking back on it now and watching it again, I really think that what I liked best about it was simply Jude Law. So that part still held up, but the rest of the movie I've kind of cooled on.
That's a legit reaction.
I feel like that's a totally legit reaction because I was thinking about this. You know, I have this sort of fantasy where all these movies I don't like get re-edited with only the parts I like, and it just saves me time. And I feel like that is what I would do with this movie. Like I basically would be all Kate Winslet with Eli Wallach.
Okay.
And just Kate Winslet, like reading mail to me. Like, that's what I want. I realized that I would be much better at like just bookkeeping and keeping up with logistics in general if Kate Winslet read all my mail to me.
I think it'd be good if she was also my personal trainer.
Yeah. That's about the level of activity that I'm basically at right now. So I'm in. And yeah, Jude Law, preferably just with his children and with others, but with the Cameron Diaz too. That's fine. But I agree.
So of the Jude Law movies that I've watched with you guys, I think that he's probably not my favorite character of the Jude Law characters in this movie, but certainly better than Dickie in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Okay.
And certainly better than Danny in Music from Another Room.
Okay.
I still think maybe he was most likable in Gattaca. Of course, he was, you know, someone you had to warm up to, but I think that character was the most interesting. Here he's roguish and kind, and like you were saying, like seems to be fatherly, although I had some issues with that upon second watch that I didn't the first time.
Yeah.
But he's just very handsome. He's got the glasses, which adds to the handsomeness, and the curly hair. And I loved that he was a book editor.
And he's a big reader. I was going to say, it's like,
the fact that he was a lit major was definitely like,
that was
yes,
good.
please.
So that's all the Jude Laws of, you know, what we've been describing. Question. Do you have a favorite Jude Law character overall?
Oh, John Watson, for sure.
I was going to ask, how is his Watson?
I would say he's my favorite Watson, although Martin Freeman is an excellent Watson as well. They're both very different Watsons. Martin Freeman's probably closer to the canonical Watson, but I really like how Jude Law took his Watson as well.
Well, you know, I mean, you could just... Martin Freeman is a tough act to follow.
It's true.
In general, in life. Yes. So I that's why I approach with trepidation. So that makes sense. I'll probably check it out. But then again, you've got, you know, Robert Downey Jr. versus Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm just like, I can't. No, I'm just going to get forward on the seasons that I've been missing out on.
See, I actually really enjoyed Jude Law's Dickie.
Oh, I mean, I thought his performance was excellent, but the character itself was not the nicest.
Oh, character. No, not like a good person. I just like more. I'm more for interesting. Like, but I would say his Gattaca character probably has the most to him and is most sort of interesting as a character, because I think Dickie isn't supposed to be terribly like multidimensional. I guess
you're right, though. He is an interesting character, and there's something magnetic about him for sure. So Dickie's an interesting character. I would agree.
I do appreciate Jerome's saltiness. Wait, is he Jerome? No, he's Eugene. Jude Law in Gattaca. I'll just go there. I appreciate the character saltiness.
Yes.
Okay. Now that totally makes sense. Oh, so now, were there other thoughts you wanted to share about the holiday as your original watchings or your second time watchings?
I think that my second time impressions will just come up as we're talking about it, and I'll contrast.
Yeah, that's what I'm super curious about because, as I said, I saw this movie. I was aware of it, but just wasn't the kind of movie I would go see or rent, I guess, apparently. And it never came up on a plane. So
that you saw.
That I saw. Yeah.
You could have been watching something else a la 2006.
I mean, I could have just been watching the 6 and a half hours of Law and Order that I generally just indulge in when I'm flying to the East Coast.
Why would you not do that?
Exactly. Why would I pick a movie I didn't? But anyway, and I have to at first I was like, wow, love Jude Law is the minute he comes in, I'm like, that is why he's he is really magnetic, super handsome, just bumbling enough. Sort of, and she, he's lit and shot really well. It's all very close. You feel a lot of intimacy with him. I mean, this is a good, the Nancy Meyers movies I have seen, the few, do kind of have that sense of they feel like solid rom-coms because there's kind of the sort of the pleasure of that intimacy. And the fantasy is an amazing one, right? That you're gonna home exchange. But whole Kate Winslet doing Bridget Jones was a little weird, but I will watch her do literally anything. That was a little like annoying to me. And I was like, oh God, is this gonna be like the whole movie? And then the whole like Eli Wallach thing comes up. And I did love her like pleasure in finding herself in such a a dream fantasy LA home. And just the fantasy of like, I am going to just swap lives with another person with no planning, no like, I'm just out is a really lovely fantasy.
Of course, yeah.
I didn't really buy like Kate Winslet and Jack Black together. I just never, I kind of maybe did toward the end, but that was sort of really like a sticky kind of point for me.
Question.
And I kept,
Now, did you not buy them together as a couple, or did the fact that they had like a whole 20 minutes where he was not attached to somebody else, and now we can possibly explore this type of thing?
That came later. I was like at the beginning. I was like, how they're like this? They're going to put this together? How are they going to make me believe this?
I'm gonna like.
But I have a lot of thoughts about the 20-minute thing about with the two of them. But
not an exact marker, but
it felt like it. I mean, if you actually think about it, you're like, I think 20 minutes is actually quite accurate.
I think it was actually 40 minutes into the movie before Jack Black and Iris interacted in any way. Is that
any romantic way, or
before they even met each other?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was talking about like how they were together, but he was still with his girlfriend. And he was still very attached to his girlfriend, and they're spending time together. But then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, she cheated on me. There's only 20 minutes left in this movie. Let's see where this.
Yeah, totally. Yes, yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah. But it's true. And then, but when I'm seeing me, I'm like, oh, it took me a lot. Like, I don't even really think I bought it at the end, but we can talk about that later. But like, it was just so odd. I couldn't understand it. And they never really meet. Well, they don't meet. They only spend time together later. I don't know. The whole thing is very odd.
I would agree with you on the odd stuff. I'll get into it a little bit more, but I'll just say, first of all, him getting something out of her eyelash when they first met each other. I'm like, this is already very intimate very quickly.
Well, especially like for, like an English person. Like I don't know. That's just like something I wouldn't necessarily like do to even a friend of mine who was British, just because like the physical distance between is a little different.
What do you have against the British?
Oh, no, I have nothing against the British. It's just like, It's just my experience is like our like American comfort with touching each other and
I think
British
touching
comfort.
someone's eye is really
It's super intimate, like no matter who you are.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
even still, like I just feel like that's such a
And even just pointing, like you have something in your eyelash. No, not there, not there. That's still pretty intimate when you're trying to be accurate with your pointing.
also like
What am I doing? We
I'm
have
like,
a lot to
why
talk
can't
about.
she just get it out herself?
Well, no, that's kind of my point, though. It's like,
anyway,
wait,
yeah.
you're not from here. I should get that for you.
Well, should we talk about Iris and Miles and that couple as long as we're on it?
Well, allow me to jump in because you talked about your kind of 180
yes,
with it.
yes.
Allow me to do mine. So,
Yeah. What's
so
yours?
similar to you, rom-coms not really my thing. I think I was more like a kind of a private rom-com watcher if I was, or if I wasn't, like I wouldn't admit to it because it's less like got to maintain the tomboy rom-coms. Are for
Yeah,
girls.
yeah.
I'm now older and I don't hide it as much, although I do hide it sometimes. Like when I'm talking about it, I realize, oh, this is too exposing to me. I don't want to talk about this anymore. You don't need to know what I read. No judging. Anyways,
I'm not judging. I'm doing a podcast with you about where we watch a lot of romantic comedy. So
and I'm not fully okay with it.
I'm so neither am I.
But this one of those ones, my older brother, older to me, but oldest in the family, he is, he'll watch this stuff on TNT, and he considers like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days to be one of those things like where if it's on TV, I'm just going to watch it. And so we'll rattle on back and forth about that kind of stuff, even though I still haven't seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
I never have either.
Yeah. So when we're talking about that, he and I saw the trailer for this and we're just like, this is one of those ones where it's going to be like, it's on TNT. We're going to watch it. It's going to be amazing. And we both independently had the same reaction because we both love America's Sweethearts and we'll quote it back and forth. This movie is just like, yeah, it's going to be like in our lexicon. And we watched it and it's just, I want to like you so much. Why isn't this happening? All right, go. Ugh, it's still not happening. And now the movie is over and it's just like, okay, whatever.
So you had literally the opposite reaction to me, which is I don't want to like this movie, but I did.
Well,
I have to say, even though I don't like it as much as I once did, I didn't hate it.
Right.
And that might still be some of the like warm feelings from before carrying over, but
It's a warm movie. It's no Music from Another Room. I will say that.
thank God.
I'm still trying to figure out the feelings that I had that first time around
It's
and why it stuck with my head. But but this time around, second watching, I was bracing myself for the stuff that I just didn't get into. And it's still there when you're talking about Kate Winslet. Will I buy this? So Kate Winslet and Jude Law, it was in the trivia. They took these roles because it's so different than what they're used to. They don't do rom-coms. They don't do these lighthearted things. So they were like, there was actually some imposter syndrome stuff going on right now where they're just like, are they going to find out that we're not good at this and fire us? And comedy is harder than drama, at least according to, certain, people. I agree with it because drama, you just emote and you go. Comedy, you have to be able to emote it while still being funny but maintaining. So, yeah, I'm an expert.
Yeah,
I'm an expert of hearing professionals talk
I was going to say, I've heard professionals say I can understand what they're saying, and that is the limit to my.
That's good enough for me. So as I'm bracing myself for the whole I like this at the beginning, I was able to forgive it. I will say that the trailer gimmick, I really hated it the first time I saw it.
What was the trailer gimmick?
Oh, the fact that Cameron Diaz is just trying to have that Amanda's life was on the thing and she's like reacting to her own trailer voiceover.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, this is annoying. And also, this is a really good snapshot of the way trailers used to be. Because
Yes.
you don't hear voiceover in trailers anymore. It's
no.
very, very irritating.
No, I didn't even think about that until you just said it.
You mean to tell me that
is-
happened in the movie and you didn't react to it?
Oh, no. I was like the trailer thing was irritating. And the fact that they dropped it like halfway through did not help.
Yeah.
But like, yet I was relieved. I was like, oh, I was so irritated, this conceit. Now I'm mad it's gone. But I just didn't realize until you said it that yes, movies do not have voiceover any longer.
Right. It's well, it also,
trailers. Sorry.
well, it also started with Kate Winslet voiceover too.
It did.
And then it just kind of disappeared. So I guess you can do the beginning thing, but I don't know. The more I get older about these things, like,
So what was it when you saw it? What was it when you saw it that you were like, oh, yeah, I'm going to love this movie. And then you're like, no.
well, back then I didn't fully grasp it, but I do love love origin stories. And now we have two running parallel at the same time while some interesting scenarios of fish out of water is happening.
Yeah.
This should be great. I do love Jack Black. This is really cool. I do love Kate Winslet. That's really cool. Of course, I was a little bit just like, why is Kate Winslet and Jack Black, being held to the backside when you've got like the attractive people falling in love?
Yeah.
And I will be perfectly honest. Like,
Kate Winslet is gorgeous.
She's lovely.
So hot.
She's fantastic. She's talented. And of course, let's go to Cameron Diaz, who's like I would imagine the more sex symbol-y.
Yeah, especially 2006. I mean, she was kind of
right,
wasn't she?
Like Charlie's Angels was later, but at the same time, they're still like she's the cutesy sexy because the whole
something about Marriott.
90 something, late 90s.
Damn.
Yeah.
My chronology is way off. Okay. So, but yeah, still Cameron Diaz sort of, I think especially in Jude has this, that's sort of her quote unquote job in a weird way as to be the kind of rom-com
and
princess.
I think I was just like, Kate Winslet deserves better. And then I don't realize why I was arguing with like artificial.
That's what you didn't like about it, yeah.
Well, no, that's parts of it that I didn't like. And also it's a lot of the times when I'm watching rom-coms, it's like fall in love faster. This one was fall in love better. The
first time or the second time?
The first time.
Yeah.
Because as it's happening and as it's unfolding, I'm just watching. And I'll be honest, we alluded to it last time. I'm a prude. So when I'm watching Cameron Diaz and Jude Law, he's just like, kind of half drunk. She's just like, I think we should have sex. And I'm like, oh, we went there, huh? Okay. I'm just going to wait till we go back to Kate Winslet and Jack Black now.
So it's really funny that you say that because I really enjoyed the kissy parts of this movie too. And going back to what you were saying about how it was sort of against their usual casting for Jude Law and for Kate Winslet. And we had talked before on this podcast about how this is one of only 2 rom-coms that Jude Law has done. And I think this is the only rom-com that Kate Winslet has done. And I think that it's almost a shame in a way because Kate Winslet is obviously an amazing actress regardless. And I think that she, like the rest of the cast, really did bring her A game to this movie.
Right.
She was very charming. I thought her comedic timing was great.
Cool.
I thought that she performed the role of rom-com character very well here.
Yeah.
And I also think that this was a very successful rom-com role for Jude Law because what you're saying before about like the intimacy, Polina, and sort of like the passion. I can see, obviously he's very handsome, but just the way that Jude Law was like looking at the Amanda character like so intensely and he seems to be a good kisser. I don't know. That was one of my main takeaways. I'm like, oh, he looks like a good kisser.
There was like that first kissing scene, which was sort of awkward. And in a way I was kind of irritated that it was awkward. It was between, Amanda, the Cameron Diaz character, and Graham, the Jude Law character. They sort of kiss by accident and then all this stuff happens. And in retrospect, I was like, oh, but that is how like first kisses are really awkward. But there's this moment where basically she's like, okay, let's try it again. And she closes her eyes and he just takes this moment and takes her face in his hands. And it was a really great kissing scene. I'm like, yeah, okay. This is not such a terrible genre. Because there's such a wish fulfillment in I would love to be kissed by Jude Law. And that is how I'd like to be kissed by Jude Law. There was that kind of thing. And and I think you were talking about why Kate Winslet is it is a shame, I felt, because she brings the joy, when she goes to Amanda's house. And she's never actually seen a picture because Amanda has not actually applied for the site. It seems like that was my assumption.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah. It was a little weird.
They really rushed into it.
But it's a conceit, right? And I was like, her delight in this palatial apartment with this beautiful and just a sensory delight, you really feel I actually went back and rewatched it because that was one of my favorite scenes. It's just her entering the apartment and then finding out that she's like, oh my God, I want to sleep at this LA sun. And then she's like, I can press a button and it just becomes dark. This is amazing. And she brings that. And then also just when she's just fully present with Jack Black, with the Jack Black character, Miles, in every single thing. And she's just kind of up for it. And just the way that she is with Arthur, where she instantly sees him. Mm-hmm. And it's obvious that she's supposed to, they make all this reference to like having quote unquote gumption, because Arthur starts introducing her to all of these films from like the 40s, the 30s, 40s, and I think some of the 50s. I'm trying to remember the movies.
Not my wheelhouse, so I can't help.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of 40s movies, it seems like, but some 30. But she was really like, you could tell that that's what she was going for, and she really did like physically grow into that. Like she started standing up straighter, and just the way she was dressing, like she really, just took it on. I think it is a shame because there's such depth. It brings a lot of depth to the character, which makes it easier to believe the fantasy.
There is that. And I'll even say in the beginning, just watching her run into a room squeaking and running out of a room and squeaking. And I don't know what it was, but the time when I rewatched it and I had just like a little bit more like bracing myself for just, crap. The other time I'm just like, oh, I've done that. Mm-hmm. I've done that when I would stay in a hotel and I would just go like, honey, look at this bathroom.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. Or you end up in like a really, really good Airbnb that's so much nicer than you thought. And you're like, there are 2 fireplaces. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, look at outside. We're here. We're really here.
So that is just like, this is not cheesy. This is real.
Yeah. It feels really pleasurable.
It's cheesy, but it's real.
I mean, her house is kind of cheesy too. It's like, there's a lot of topiary in like Amanda's house.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I also got some unintentional enjoyment about how excited Iris was over the DVD collection.
Oh, yes.
Whereas today it'd be like, why do you have so many flippin' DVDs?
Yeah.
Don't you use Netflix?
Yeah.
Because it looks cool. It's a good moment.
Yeah. And also like, and I guess the other thing is like Iris's house is like, to me, I was kind of irritated at Amanda because she just didn't think the house was nearly as charming as I did. I was like, yes, I want that house too. Like both of their lives would be fun to drop into. Well, except for the heartbreaking part.
Yeah, both are their own version of idyllic.
Yeah,
exactly.
I do like that fantasy aspect of it. I still think that is appealing. Like you were saying, the idea of just like rushing off to another country you've never been to before, the sort of trading places, worlds apart, fish out of the water, I think you said, Diana.
Yeah.
Like all these sort of exciting escapist moments where that's still pretty pleasurable in this movie for me.
Yeah. Especially when you're working with the fantasy of it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I wrote this question down. You two don't have to answer it, but something for you two to ponder. What's the most impulsive traveling you've ever done? Considering they're just like, hey, is tomorrow okay? Yeah, I'm going to fly to England tomorrow. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm never doing that. But impulsive travel, is that just
I'm not a very impulsive person.
Okay, good.
God, it was a really long time ago. We sort of tend to pick times and then places.
Right.
So sometimes like the place part, just arranging time, but the place part becomes really,
No, that makes sense.
like very, the place part becomes sort of a thing that happens last minute. So I guess that's a thing. But once I went on a camping trip to Oregon with like a day's notice.
Huh. Well,
and we decided it in a bar, and I'd never really hadn't been camping, like, I don't think ever. I mean, I've been like car camping, but anyway, so that was pretty good. And then
that's enough.
I've flown off to New York, like on very little notice.
We'll define little.
Like a couple days, just because it kind of happened.
Okay, Polina wins.
Yeah. Oh, I've never done anything even remotely close to that impulse.
No. Okay. No, Polina wins.
I mean, I would rather be more impulsive about my.
Oh, me too.
So, like, you want to go to China?
Yeah, like honestly.
I'm not doing that. I can't. No, I meant.
I mean, I can't.
No,
but
I mean, like, end the
to.
podcast right now and go to China. The three of us.
Oh,
yeah, let's do it.
Kind of do. Yes, can we? Who are we going to switch houses with?
Oh, good question.
A nice family
Yes.
Chinese people who want to come to California.
Where in China are we going to go? Shanghai? I've always wanted to go
This is too much planning. This is not impulsive enough.
Oh, that's true. See, this is the problem.
Actually,
I like that question, though.
I think the most impulsive thing I ever did was like, hey, Meg, what do you think about like going to Disneyland next year?
And I'm like,
Next year.
Disneyland, you say?
And I'm pretty sure that was impulsive because I actually said it out loud instead of just keeping it in my head. Okay.
So the most impulsive thing you've ever done is say something.
Well, like this year, yes. But I have had time to think about this question, and the answer is we found out that David Spade was performing in Reno, so I called up my friend, and she's like, hey, who's a really big David Spade fan. I think we planned it a week in advance. Just the fact that we went, like, we're working professionals. I'm like, how do you think about going to Reno next week? And I'm like calling and making reservations and going. 1 week, Reno.
Good.
So a 3-hour drive from here.
I think the work thing is a big part of it, like the work part, because that I was thinking like, okay, maybe Amanda can, but like, doesn't Iris have to like have a desk job? Like, how does she? But then again, they get a lot more time off in
but it's also
Britain.
Holiday times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I could also add to the whole like
Please.
Iris really excitable, her blasting Mr. Brightside in bed.
Oh, it was so good.
I think I've done that.
Oh,
No.
yes.
Amanda did that. Iris did.
No, she did.
What was it? I can't remember the name of it. It's like not even a real name, but it was like an Apple commercial song. So
wasn't it? Was it White Stripes? Now I can't remember the song. Was it White Stripes?
I don't think
can't
so.
remember. Anyway.
But tell you what, I'll look that up while you guys talk more about the actual movie.
No, it's all right. We'll put it in later.
I wanted to just add a little bit more about the cast. So Kate Winslet is awesome, obviously. I've already talked about Jude Law.
Agreed.
I really like Cameron Diaz, too. I was especially endeared to her because of Charlie's Angels, which is actually one of my not-so-guilty pleasure movies that I honestly, unironically love. And I also like Jack Black. And so I was really predisposed to liking this cast as a whole.
Yes.
Which I think is one reason why I liked it. I appreciated that... On the one hand, this is really outside of Jack Black's wheelhouse, which I was like, yay, good job trying. But then it didn't really get executed successfully. No, it really did not land. He's great in comedic roles.
Yes.
So he had the calm part down, but not so much the rom. And also, I liked that they cast a not stereotypically handsome leading man in Jack Black. And I just wish they would have taken that another step farther and cast a woman who wasn't so stereotypically beautiful and then, put her with the conventionally super handsome
Jude-Ly,
guy, So I wish that they had even like taken it another step further, but I do have to applaud that they at least tried to take some chances on the casting here. Oh, and also Cameron Diaz. This was one part that I liked more in my first watch and less in the second watch, is that she wasn't nearly as endearing to me this time around, especially since our very first introduction to her is her domestically abusing her partner by throwing shoes at him and then punching him in the face twice. And I'm just like, that's not cute.
No,
it's just not.
Oh, no, wow. I guess I was in a rom-com mood because you say, abusing him. Oh shit, you're right. But he did cheat on her. And then that's like, you're right. I'm such in the rom-coms, thing where it's just like, that was justified. You're right. It's not. Shit.
It's not. Yeah, that's I was kind of prepared to hate this movie for that. Like, I mean, and also she's sort of like this whole idea that she's, I was like, oh God, is this going to be one of those like a successful woman who's like clumsy and a mess kind of thing? And it's sort of, and then the fact that it was like, I mean, obviously a total cad, but
you mean he's being Edward Burns?
Yeah, but yeah, that was really, I was like, you're not, this whole thing of like being a mess. I'm like, no, you really are, like, not in a cute way,
right? Not
in a rom-com way, but like, you have some things.
She has a medical condition, actually. She can't cry. Cameron Diaz cannot. I'm sorry, we were talking about.
Is that a medical condition?
The fact that she's got like spasms going.
Oh, yeah,
not that she can't cry, but the fact that like every way of emoting something results in like a deep-rooted stress. I would be concerned for like her intestinal.
Yeah, she's taking a lot of Hepcid AC. Like they every scene of her like has this bottle of Hepcid AC. Like she's got some stuff to deal with.
Yeah. And I have this thing where I'm sorry, I was really thinking about that at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm also really ashamed of myself that I didn't recognize abuse for what it was. I need a minute.
I mean, it's excusable, and it's also it's excusable that you did not react in a way that
you don't have to apologize.
No, I'm not apologizing. It's also that I don't know. There's certain excusable things in rom-coms where it's like, it's expected. It's a trope, and not to excuse someone, punching their partner. But it's also like, well, this movie isn't to be taken seriously. At the same time,
something at least. Okay, I'll
I agree. I think you can give yourself a pass. I mean, but it's just, it was the hitting. It was like the shoe throwing. Like, I think I wouldn't have even thought about it, but something about the hitting in the face thing is like, okay.
Well, also, to not justify it, but to just kind of add to his bad character about how he's lying about not cheating on her. But later on, I wrote down that she's so antsy about becoming intimate with Jude Law because she's like, I'm sorry, I'm told I'm bad at sex. And I'm like, who the hell told you you're bad at sex?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, okay, he's terrible, but like, how messed up is that?
Well, and that's definitely emotionally abusive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're really like taking this to a next level and just like, wah. Actually, you know what? Unless you had more, I wanted to spin it back to Jack Black.
Sure.
And I wrote down that one of the reasons that I didn't like this movie the first time and subsequently this time, but I was more forgiving of it, was Jack Black is turned up to 11 and it just doesn't feel natural. Rewatching High Fidelity and seeing him being turned up to 11, but Jack Black, controlled. It's there and it's ridiculous, but it still feels natural. Him talking about just musical scores. I love musical scores. Talking about this, no, don't you hear the flutes? And it's just like, he's one version of it where he's passionate about it, but it's just like a thick paste of just like, I am this person. I'm going to go doodly doodaloot, but you're a little fruitaloot. And I'm like, please turn it off. No, I mean, I know you're quirky, but this is just like, And she's kind of buying into it too. And that scene again, where he's doing Arthur's theme, absolutely sweet. And he wrote a theme for her. Amazingly sweet. Stop with the doodly doodaloots, please. No, Iris, don't buy into his...
You could do so much better. I feel like, actually, what you're saying, he was turned up to 11, I actually found that to be the awkward part, is like, he wasn't. And so it wasn't... Like, I find Jack Black incredibly charming and actually sexy because of that. Like, there's something really charming and sweet and funny. And even like in High Fidelity, he's supposed to be, the asshole. And like, that's a very familiar type, is the like geek, the music geek dick. But like this one, like I felt like they kept giving us like signs and signals of how we're supposed to feel about him. Like, we're kind of talking about this with Music from Another Room, that like they show, they tell you one thing and then show something completely different about the character. And like, I didn't feel like it was turned into 11. So the whole thing was, whenever it would happen, like when he had dinner with, they had that sort of impromptu Hanukkah scene that he ends up at.
Oh yeah.
And like, which was great. And I'm like, why couldn't just be like half this movie, just be this dinner? But they were,
no, not quite.
I disagree.
But no, I mean the other people, not the two of them.
No, I don't want the other people either.
Oh,
but
really?
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I want to talk about that. Yeah, I totally want to talk about that. So let's just finish up with this real quick.
Because I have a thought on that.
Suddenly, like before then, he wasn't doing, this was the first time you see him doing sort of Jack Blacky things where he was like kind of talking in a funny voice and then it just felt very, and sort of being like the center of this dinner, which was sort of not really about him. Like it sort of felt weird. And I kept sort of being anxious that he was going to be Jack Blacky and then yet wanting it. Like, so that was, I think, the other reason that it wasn't quite Jack Black doing his thing, nor was it Jack Black just being like a normal dude who is somewhat funny.
It was like Jack Black trying to break out of his rom-com suit. So like sometimes you would see him stick like an elbow out or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I agree that it was kind of like, well, be one way or the other instead of straddling
Yeah.
like sometimes really, really Jack Black and sometimes really not.
Exactly.
Well, also the trivia said that these roles were written with all of these people in mind. And I'm like, yes, this is a person writing what they think Jack Black is, and they also happen to cast Jack Black.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like
really
it's
well
running
put.
parallel at the same time.
Really beautifully put. Yeah.
If I could pull it back.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the dinner scene.
I want to
right?
know.
Right? That's what you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I'll also say that one of the things, like in the very beginning, Kate Winslet, she has the inhaling gas moment that, you know, the whole let's do suicide at Christmas thing. And then she's just like, you know, immediately pulled out low point. I'm sure there could have been a way to convey that without the actual inhaling gas. But at the same time, what I wrote down between her and Amanda, you know what they need is some friends.
Yes.
They need friends.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
And I was thinking about the dinner party scene where just like, these guys right here, they are friends and they spend time together. So let's not all think about the sadness of that. But dinner party wise.
So I want to talk about, I guess, Arthur more generally and how I think that this affects the main couple of Iris and Miles.
Okay.
So I'm actually very conflicted about the Arthur character and the whole Arthur side story because we're set up with this expectation that we're going to have these two romantic couples, right? Like that's the whole conceit. It's on the movie poster.
Yep.
And I think that in execution, it just failed the Iris and Miles couple, which you alluded to before. And I think that so much time was devoted to the Arthur storyline that sort of sucked the air out of the Iris and Miles relationship or potential to really develop that relationship. Right. So I liked, and I'm also conflicted about Arthur himself. I thought the actor was amazing. I thought that he was I thought he was a charming character, but I also think that he really fell into that sort of sweet and sour, curmudgeonly, yet has wisdom to dispense, aren't seniors so cute type of trope. And I find that sort of portrayal of senior characters very reductive and very like ageist, actually. It's just like when there's a senior character, they're the funny person or they're the wise person who has to act as the sort of fairy godmother type of character. So I didn't like that. But going to what you were just saying, Diana, what I did like is that I liked that they, at least for a while, were showing that Iris didn't need another romantic relationship to be made whole, that she could find self-worth and self-confidence and through the help of friendship. And I really like that idea of that. Let's have you not focus on another man for a while. Let's have you make friends and have like platonic relationships. And it's like, I love that idea. Yeah. But it's also at the expense of the romance, which is the core conceit of the movie. Yeah. So I just felt like it was very at odds.
You know, I now that you say that, because I realize that when you say that, it makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, I agree. It's true that like the time, the sort of just that you only have X amount of time and sort of part of the reason that you don't quite believe them is because, as you know, as you said, they were only broken up for, each were only sort of officially single in some, you know, way or another for 20 minutes before
of the movie.
And then also that they don't, you never really quite believe them, but like I enjoyed the Arthur and Iris interaction so much that I was like, again, I'm like, just give up on that whole thing. Because I think there's something really lovely because the whole point of going on a trip, especially when, you know, if you're going on, you know, if you're taking the travel cure, the whole point is to remind yourself that your life is a surprise, that you have no idea what's going to happen, that there are parts of you that in your real life you are, you know, you're sort of not accessing, and interests and passions. And so to find sort of this old Hollywood writer and listen to his stories and watch movies from his perspective and, you know, and sort of see, you know, is I think like the point of a holiday, right?
I guess another thing that I kind of don't like about the Arthur character that it's just more the idea of Hollywood congratulating itself for being so awesome. Like I hate the trope of like, oh, let's all marvel over the golden age of Hollywood and how great it was and how transformative movies are. And I mean, I love movies, I love pop culture, but I think it can get really tiresome when Hollywood just constantly pats themselves on the back.
Plus all of the little bits and pieces, like, you know, oh, these guys are sitting around a room and they're talking about his wife, you know, well, she was the prettiest girl and she had class. What'd he say? She had a great ass. And I'm like, now, is he actually not hearing him or is he making a joke? Either way, I don't like this right now. So there's that version of it. And the whole like, no one wants to see an old man like me. And then the whole like, no, of course. Everybody,
everyone's like, I mean, it was very soft. But I have to say, I love that era of movies. And I especially like, I don't know if you guys listen to You Must Remember This.
Yes.
I love that show. That's our road trip. That's
podcast.
Our road trip podcast. And so we were listening to it again, and it's like, you know, it was a rough time when you listen. I mean, granted that she kind of focuses on that, Karina Longworth. But they never really talk about that during the Golden Age of movies. But still, like, if I'm going to be lost in a fantasy, like that's a fantasy I want to be lost in, right? Yeah. But I do get it. Like I totally understand. Like I think there is this weird thing of like, people are othered by being the fairy godmother, basically, or godfather.
Or this is how you're showing your worth. Your worth is making this person, you know,
your worth is
elevated.
is helping two kids find love.
Did they though?
Okay, so going back to the couples, Iris and Miles, I don't think they were in love with each other, but if we had more time to see this relationship develop, I think they ultimately were more palatable to me than Amanda and Graham. And call me old fashioned, but I think the idea of a romantic relationship based on mutual like of one another's personalities other than lust is probably a little bit more likely to succeed. So I liked that Iris and Miles like really seem to be having fun with each other and enjoying each other's company, sharing interests.
Yes. Because they basically became, I mean, he has a girlfriend during all of but except for the last, not even 20 minutes, I think, but like in real time, not in movie time, like he only doesn't have a girlfriend for 20 minutes before they run off together.
Was this 2 weeks? 1 week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
2 weeks.
Because they arrive at Christmas and then they said, what are you doing for New Year's?
Well, so they were initially going to swap the homes for 2 weeks. So the majority of the movie is 2 weeks, but then both the couples extend to seeing each other at New Year's.
So I'm going to assume that they were going to end between sometime after
I think it's funny.
Maybe the 27th or the 28th.
Right. I think it's funny that I do buy into the whole, like, you know, people falling in love in a couple of weeks. But this is the parts I have problems with. Okay. So I just wanted to get the time.
Yeah. No, but I agree because they basically are friends for most of the movie. Right. Like there isn't an idea that they're going to have a romantic relationship that isn't, because literally the first minute she meets him, he is with a woman. And then the second time that they hang out, he talks about how he's with this really hot actress.
And she's still holding on to the idea that Jasper will leave his fiance for her.
And their big moment together. Well, I mean, as big as you can make in these types of movies. He finds out that his girlfriend's cheating on him when they're at the Blockbuster. And Blockbuster.
I know. Okay.
Really quick. And then she, you know, he starts drinking a little and then she opens up to her big heartache and everything like that. And that's kind of, I will give it the credit a little bit to it where she talks about this person she was with and she's very dramatic about it. And he's just like, okay, you need this more than I do. So at least he recognizes they were only together for 6 months.
Can I just say one thing about the Blockbuster scene?
Go on.
That movie made me miss going to Blockbuster with friends.
So much.
Definitely.
So much. So much. I mean, actually made me miss La Video more.
Just a video rental place.
But a video rental place. But just shout out to La Video in the Inner Sunset.
Every once in a while, I will get that out of a Blockbuster. No, I'm sorry. Out of the library. I will go to the DVD section and I'll just look. And it's tiny, but it still kind of fulfills my
that
purpose.
is fun. I think but I guess it's the being there with somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
And especially someone you don't know. Like, I don't know. I felt like always it's just fun. And I remember a lot of this with, my husband when we were sort of dating is like going to the Blockbuster on a Sunday night
Sunday night.
Well, yeah, because
you didn't need your sleep.
Well, we worked in a bar.
Okay.
When we met, I was a student. We worked in a bar.
Okay.
And so we're so exhausted. So Sunday we had all these rituals, but one of them was going to live video actually. But, and going through like the movies and talking about the movies we'd seen and sort of introducing each other to movies and doing that with everyone, like friends, new friends, old friends, like there's something to physically being there, not just like scrolling on it. I don't know. But
I've had many fights in a video.
Oh, and then, the fights. But that's the thing. It reminded me not of the bad stuff because I think that's a lot of my memories were like, you saw the movie. Of course you saw that movie. Now I'll never see it because you've seen that movie and you don't want to see it again. Great.
Get out of my head.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's terrible. But like I remember, but this one made me go, oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Ours were more along the lines of, no, I don't want to see that one. Well, how about this one? No, I don't want to see that one. Yeah. And in the time we finally pick one, we could have already watched the movie that we could have rented and watched. Sometimes we'll leave without anything.
But in early days, it was fun to like introduce each other to, because both of us had weird genres that we were into. And so it was fun.
Mm-hmm. And also, of course, you can see, the movie poster on, say, when Netflix, when you're scrolling through. But when you're in a Blockbuster, you can like pick up the case and like really look at the case artwork and like read the little blurb on the back and just that physicality of it. It made it picking out a movie a lot more fun for sure.
Also, getting up and leaving the house to get a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still walk to the Red Box every once in a while and it feels a little bit kind of the same thing, but I'm still pressing the button.
But it's like there's the aisles and then you walk to the section. There's something like, and then there's
there's the popcorn sometimes.
Yes, there's the popcorn.
Oh my God, I'm just walking to an iPad. I just made myself sad.
Yeah. I should really make myself popcorn every time I go look at my iPad.
Okay. So Iris and Miles, not quite there. So that's one version of that. Polina, do you have any, when did they fall in love? Because if Meg sang, and I agree with Meg,
I wouldn't say they're in love. I'd say the potential could be there, but there's not that I saw in this movie.
Yeah, there's way too much freshness there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of bought it more. I became more charmed by the movie and by everyone, like as it went on, and so I want to remove my cynicism from their thing, but they do have a strong basis where they have they had a project together, which I think always brings people together. Mm-hmm. I like that they were friends. He
has a name. His name is Arthur.
I felt extraneous to me and I didn't connect it. So yeah, I don't know if they fell in love or that they just both want change. So yeah, I don't think they fell in love. I think they fell in like
I just had a weird realization.
What?
They feel like the best friends who also fall in love while the main character is falling in love situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just thought about that, which is unfair because they are also the main characters in their own right.
They're the leading ladies in their own lives.
Oh, Lordy.
Jesus.
That is so much better therapy than the therapy that I've been receiving all these years. I'm like, no, too much.
Like, your therapy is really bad.
Yeah, get a new therapist.
Really,
Iris.
You should have gotten a new therapist a long time ago.
All right, so how about Amanda and Graham? When did they?
We haven't really talked about this couple in particular very much.
That's how big of an impact they made.
Well, that's true. That's true. So Graham professes his love for Amanda, but I just ask myself, why? Like, what do they see in each other besides that they're both really, really good looking, right? Mm-hmm. And they have their little afternoon excursion where they go frolicking
and frolic in the winter and like outside. I
was like, this is such a rom-com thing. I don't think anyone's ever done this in real life. The frolicking.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had to say when he fell in love with her, I guess on that afternoon, because that's when they really got to actually have a conversation and get to know each other.
Right.
Sort of sneak preview for the next section of this podcast discussion. I don't think they are destined to last very long.
There's a lot of running against them.
Yeah. Amanda never reciprocates his feelings in words necessarily, but she does again, rom-com trope of literally running back to him in her high heels in the snow.
Why would that be faster? So
I don't think it would be. No.
There's a whole scene where she's in a driven car, like a
town car.
Yeah, town car type thing. And she's like, can you go any faster? And he's like, no, this road is pretty treacherous, treacherous. But I'm like, and then she gets out in jeans and in like spike heels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, one, you're getting on a plane. Like,
yeah,
why?
I was just thinking.
Why? Like, when you're going home, like you're not going on a business trip.
Yeah.
And then second off, you're running in the snow in high heels and it seems quite far away.
It was quite far away.
So I'm like, no, your calculus is really off. Your ability, and you did this before too, because she ended up like not like having to walk with all of her stuff. Yeah. And then I just kept thinking, what's he going to do with her suitcase? Like, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. But that's me. And watch, this is why I have a really hard time with rom-coms. But
well, two parts of that. Number one, this is the same driver as before who said, I can't turn around. Well, then how did he get there the second time to pick up her stuff? Yeah. So clearly he's a liar. And the second part of it is a little shout out to the movie knowing that what she did was kind of dumb because it actually showed her stopping.
Getting a breath.
And being out of breath. And then realizing it's kind of longer than she thought. Like, oh, wait. Like you can get there faster.
That was pretty funny.
So tiny self-awareness.
Yeah. Anyway, that's true. Sorry. And it was this big romantic gesture. And then he doesn't even really see it, right? Because she just comes in the door, is like, I'm back. And he's been crying. But no, that was pretty entertaining. But I don't really buy that these characters are in love either. And we were talking about the sort of awkward meet cutes. Like he comes to the door of the house expecting his sister Iris to be there. He's supposedly pissed drunk, although he's not acting particularly drunk. And then they make out and then yada, yada, yada. They have sex. But
don't forget the part where he couldn't find his contacts and puts on his glasses.
How could I forget that?
That will probably be the gift that I use when promoting this episode.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you in advance.
No, I thank him for the context. Because then you got teased a little bit. You got a little extra when you saw him in the glasses. And
it's true. But also, as much as I love Jude Law, I don't think I would let that strange man into my house, right? She says herself that he's insanely good looking and and he obviously claims to know the owner of the house, but I would still be like, you don't get to come inside my house, strange man.
Well, please do pee in the grass. I'll be just fine.
I'm just gonna close the door and lock it and good night.
Well, without you I understand it's actually like it would be a normal time in California. And so I think it would be more prudent to and granted, she's also a little drunk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Right? Because she's been drinking.
Slightly better. Okay.
It would make sense. I'm just, advice, call her, call Iris and be like, okay, look, this is a dangerous situation for him to drive. It is cold, but can you can you describe your brother for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Can you tell me something that I can ask him?
No, but you touched on something that I didn't think about, but I did have when I was watching it. I'm just like, would we have gotten this far if he wasn't Jude Law?
No.
God, no.
No.
Damn it.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, no. So I guess that's my main thoughts on that couple is that ultimately didn't really sell the idea of them being in love.
When did you think if she did fall in love, when does the movie want you to think he fell in love?
I think it would be that moment where she sort of busts through that emotional block that was preventing her from crying. And when she's crying in the car, when she realizes she's leaving him, and then she has that big dramatic moment where she runs back to the house. I think that was maybe her moment where she realized her feelings for him.
Oh yeah, the movie highlighted that in marker for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With maybe some flashing lights.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean,
How about you?
I'll give you the conceit of, I agree with you. That's when the movie wants you to fall in love with them. And then when we were talking to Janet Vardy, like, this is a, different part of when the movie wants you to think to fall it. And this is where you fall in love with him. So I'll tell you that when Cameron Diaz, air quotes that the listeners can't hear me doing right now. Cameron Diaz falls in love with him,
excellent for a podcast.
is when he is Mr. Napkinhead.
Oh,
yes.
oh, so can we talk about the daughters a little bit?
Oh, can we? Yeah. Let's take a break.
Are they also a device in order to? Are they like Arthur in their own device?
So they're the precocious kid characters, right? And I don't think they ever really provide much more than that. But this was one thing that sort of changed for me a lot between first viewing and second viewing.
Go for it.
So I remember very distinctly upon first viewing. So I'm a person who does not currently have kids and also has no immediate plans for children. But even watching this movie 10 years ago, I was like, damn my biology. Because just seeing Jude Law like fathering these two kids, I was like, ugh, my ovaries. So
Totally.
I was very mad at my body and my instinct for betraying me like that and being like, look at what a good father he would be.
I mean, there is a hormonal aspect that you have to own to like just being, especially, I don't know what it's like to be a man, but I want to say like I do not have kids and I'm quickly approaching that is not an option, but like really quickly. And yeah, like I remember feeling like that all the time. And in fact, I sort of had a moment like that too, when I was like, it's like I could have attractive British children. Like charming British children.
Exactly.
And it's like, but it was like, when I would watch movies, like, so I think you have to give yourself, that's just biology. It's just hormones.
It's true.
Yeah, and it's like you have to go to the bathroom. You have to want to have children with an attractive man to have very precocious children.
Right.
It's fine. You're good.
So when I first saw it, I remember thinking, oh, he's such a good dad. And upon second watch, he's still, I think, a good dad, but it seemed like at one point he ignored a call from one of his daughters.
I picked up on that because so there's a whole conceit thing, which is when they sort of have this like sort of meet cute thing that he keeps getting calls from these girls.
Right.
Now one, and so she sees them on the cell phone.
She sees the names Sophie and Olivia I believe.
Yes,
and so she's under
correct.
the impression that Jude has multiple ladies in his life.
Which he does kind of.
And also, do they all have cell phones though? That was this is a logistics.
Yes.
But I kept thinking that I was like when I found out that Sophie was like 6, or I don't know what age
like,
she was.
I'll take this call later.
I was like, your child is calling you like I don't even understand. I'm like, people have left like meetings because their children are calling. Like, this is insane.
That's took off a few dad points. It
totally
in my
took off
book.
some dad points for me. I mean, I got over it, but it took off some.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. And I was also thinking about how he was explaining that these are the nights that I get to be not Mr. Napkinhead. And I'm for some reason, tell me if I extrapolated this incorrectly, but I thought he actually was out whoring about when he didn't have his kids.
Well, he said that he had frequently slept with strangers.
Yes.
He said that to Amanda when she remarked on how they were hooking up so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just thinking, well,
I couldn't tell if that was a joke or not, but actually I kind of thought that was kind of a moment of like a reality that I thought was kind of like well put, like that you're sort of, I mean, so it's been 3 years or 2 years? I can't remember.
It was 2 years.
And it may be that this is a recent thing. And it also may be that like this idea of like, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to like suddenly the family really, like the family dynamic has really shifted. We've lost we've lost a quarter of it. And
I'd say a higher percentage, but go ahead.
Well, no, there's 4 members of the family.
No, I know how math works. I'm saying,
sorry.
In terms of like the people who can contribute to the family, in addition to like, okay, the children, they're there, and that would be devastating, but they don't bring home money, and they don't, take care of the.
But they're like ones. A quarter. But that's the whole thing. But they're part of the dynamic. Like there is this family dynamic that that you become. And they've had to like shift that entirely. And, I've been close to watching that happen. And this idea of, so something I thought a lot about like watching this movie, this idea that like sort of gets these breaks where he's like, I get to kind of be an adult and I don't know what that means right now. And I actually thought that was like a fairly mature way to handle. Like I kind of thought maybe they should have just like kept him divorced and like not brought that all into it. But
no, that tears at the heart.
But it does tear at something. Yeah. And then you don't think what was wrong with him? Why did he? But I actually like I thought he did a great, like, this is one of those things where it made you kind of sad that like Jude Law and Kate Winslet aren't more of these things, because I felt like it added a real like sort of adult depth to a really, ridiculous premise.
Yeah, I think that he was rightly conflicted. I like what you said about it being sort of a more mature aspect of this movie. I totally agree with that. It's interesting to see him struggle with being now a full-time parent and a full-time editor and trying to balance that with his dating life, which would obviously be very difficult. And I think that he was totally right in not wanting to introduce Amanda to his girls. Like,
totally.
Absolutely.
No, I mean...
Yeah. And I think he was completely justified in, trying to compartmentalize those things and not confuse his daughters. I think the only thing that I maybe didn't like about this portrayal, but again, maybe it's realistic, is that he still seemed very caught in gender stereotype roles. Like he seemed a little resentful that he had to cook, for example, or that he had to shop for tutus. And it was like, well, okay. I just thought that was like,
it was a little heavy-handed. Like I agree, because I definitely noticed that, and I was like, okay, Polina, like there's certain things you just have to let go. But I noticed that too. Like, like the examples that he gave, I thought, and didn't really talk about like, if we are if this is a moment where people get real, right? There's a sense that when I talk about like he had to rebuild his children's lives when they had been fractured. Like he's sort of just more, and maybe that's, so I don't know.
But the idea of also having to be mom and dad at the same time, if you're not even throwing gender into the equation, it's just like, I'm wondering if I would have been even more sympathetic if he had said just like, and I don't know what's going to happen when they become teenagers. Yeah. I mean, if you had thrown that
like I can't help them with certain things about being female that I don't know about because I've never experienced it. Like, exactly. I think you're right. Like I did definitely, that was one of those little pieces of sand, in the Vaseline, kind of like, oh, that just irritates me.
And a lot of it was just like how he was struggling. And I don't think he ever expresses really missing his wife or what she was like as a person. So it just kind of gave this impression that he was feeling very put upon.
See, but that made sense to me. I think that makes some emotional sense because I feel like it's such another complicated thing, especially like 2 years isn't that a lot of time.
Right.
Like how do you bring someone else up? I think bringing up her in that equation, and it's kind of this fantasy of like, it's another trope that she's just gone. She's gone. You never have to deal with her.
She's the perfect woman because you've never met her. And so,
but she doesn't even get like brought up. You don't even really see pictures of her in the house. Like, I think I kind of get why they were doing, but then also I think it makes that conversation like in real life. If this was happening in real life, like more simple because suddenly to like for a new relationship to bring in the old one when she'd literally just found out that it even existed seems I would feel if I were in his shoes, like it's too raw. Like, okay, here's this person who, I was married to and it meant a lot to me to have to bring her up in this case, like would feel too much and too personal, I think, in a weird way. Does that make sense?
Well, much like he didn't want to introduce the kids too early. Why would he bring up that part early either? Yeah. Also, it's just like, hey, I need to use your bathroom. Hey, do you want to have sex? So it's like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think that it is a bit of like, I don't think that's what they were intending. I think they were intending like it was a bit of a trope. Like, oh, she's just gone. Don't worry about it.
Well,
For sure.
well, yeah. And also it's not only is she perfect, but it's also like he has successfully navigated a committed relationship and he would still be a part of this if it weren't for circumstances.
Yeah, it's making him look even more attractive because it's just like, oh, this poor man and his
And
wife
he's a
has
great
died,
dad.
and he's a great dad.
And he gives that whole speech, and the whole time behind him, there's a stack of books, and I'm like, I want these beautiful children and this beautiful house, and I want to talk about those books, those exact books. Like the stack of books is so perfectly like, I was like, I want to talk about them.
Well, I was focused on Cuba Libre by Elmore Leonard, and I'm like, was that made into a movie? Oh wait, that was Rum Punch. Never mind. Yeah. So okay. So now we've got this love was nice effort, but not quite there in a way that we bought into.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No.
Get out.
So I'm going to do mine real quick because there's not much to it. And I'll explain why there's not much to it. So
Does it involve Mr. Napkinhead?
it does not actually.
Go on, then.
Though I like you now. Like it was one of those things where I heard it. I'm like, oh,
Well, no, I don't buy into it. But
so I buy into this, and I'll tell you why. And I don't really. The reason I want to go in is like, as I said, I started watching this movie, and I kind of was prepared to be like, I wasn't prepared to hate it because I want to hate it, but I was kind of prepared. I was like, this is gonna be one of those movies that irritates me, and there's all these little things that are irritating. But I fell in, and I fell in to these two, and I think so much of it has to do with it's a wish fulfillment. Like I kind of just fell into like this is a wish fulfillment. I want to talk about these movies with these kids in this beautiful house in Surrey. I'm a bit of an Anglophile, admittedly, so that fantasy is really attractive to me.
much like Jude Law.
It's like the whole thing is like literally written for me. So except I don't know if I really want two children, but just we'll go with it. And I kind of just wanted to. There's a real pleasure in believing these two. And I don't know if it's because I was so sort of bummed. I was kind of bummed about the Kate Winslet, Jack Black thing because I was like, I love these two people. And I actually would rather watch Kate Winslet. And even though actually I love me some Cameron Diaz. But not enough to actually see a lot of her movies, I realized. But I loved Something About Mary so much. But anyway, I kind of wanted to believe it. And I really wanted to believe in this like love at first sight thing. And I felt like actually the minute that they really realize is like, so the second night you see her, she invites her to the pub with his friends, with his and they basically, he walks in and he's looking around for her. Like the minute he walks in, he's looking around for her and then he doesn't see it. And then they see each other. And I think there's just a moment when they see each other, they're like, oh, wait, this isn't just this like thing I don't usually do because I'm on vacation.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Right? Like,
that's pretty good.
I think it was like, oh my God, we are having him for, and I want to buy this whole thing where he's like, I never thought I would feel like this again. And I do. Now, it's also a little like immature. It's like, this is a lot to put on the kids if this doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's kind of why I don't know if I can't really defend it because I think so much of it comes from two things. One, my own wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like, and I,
it's not like that's how rom-coms work or anything. Like
no,
that.
not at all. Not at all. And the thing is, I usually think I resist that, but I just like, somehow I flipped a switch inside myself and just decided like, and I wasn't on a plane. Usually this happens to me on a plane, but I was in my living room and I was like, I'm kind of in.
Yeah. Nice.
So
you can have like
that's
a nice
how I
weekend
feel.
Yeah,
and just be like that.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm proud of myself and I'm not going to like, and I have issues with it. And I feel like it's like, I have to, I have to go on Monday and, during office hours and give my feminist card, but I'm okay with that.
What are you talking about? This is called maturity. It's not,
right.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Also get out.
Well, and I do definitely believe that
this podcast brought to you by Lyft.
I do definitely believe that two people could fall in love in the span of 2 weeks and have it be a real love. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're especially like, if you decide we're going to be together and then they are together, it's really the work that you put in afterwards.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's kind of a decision. Like, I know this is probably in some cheesy movie, but there's something about love that is a decision, which is probably in some movie we've done over the past 2 years, 2+ years.
That needs to be a tagline for a movie, like right now.
Okay, let's do it.
I already forgot what you said. Never mind.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so
I did too.
Miles and Iris, anything there?
Yeah, I think I kind of said it. Yeah, I don't really feel like they. Okay. I agree. I agreed with that thing.
Okay, I
just wanted to put my line on this. I wanted to admit my feelings.
Okay.
I wanted to talk.
You can stay
to talk about my truth. Thank you.
Your truth.
Thank you for accepting me.
My truth, Polina.
Now you can have your truth.
Oh,
what's your truth about how they? What's going to happen with them next?
Oh crap. Okay. Well, I mean, considering I was just kind of shrugging, even at the end, when they're all dancing and having a really great time, all I could think is, man, this just seems like a really fun party.
It does seem really fun.
It seems like the best.
So I feel like this movie is a lot more enjoyable if you just roll with it and you don't apply any sort of like logical thought to it, because it looked like really fun and, you know, it's a happy ending. But then if you stop to think for even a second, it's like they've really only deferred their problems by a week. Like absolutely nothing has changed about any of their living situations or their life goals. And it's just like, but we're going to have this great New Year's party. Yay.
And also the technology isn't really that great. So like Skype
it's 2006. Yeah, it's rough.
So well, then again, they are very wealthy people. These are incredibly wealthy people.
Yes,
so
true.
I'm wondering if they have access to more things. Like if Amanda has her own studio to edit things, I imagine she can still take some really good calls. But I don't know about video calls.
Well, so that's the thing. So with both couples, certainly long distance relationships can work for a certain amount of time, depends on the couple. But I think you have to say, ultimately, eventually, you're going to have to be in the same place, right?
I agree.
The same place physically. And so that's the same problem for both couples. And the only person I foresee possibly moving is Iris. So if we go down the list, we've got Graham.
Yep.
If he's the devoted father that he's portrayed as, I don't think he would uproot his children's lives by moving them. And also his whole support network is in England, like the grandparents, his sister.
Yep.
Amanda, we know, is very career driven. Like she's this type A workaholic. She has her own highly successful business. And it's a business that can really only exist in Los Angeles. Like if it were a business that could exist anywhere else, maybe she would move, but she's in the movie business and that's in Hollywood. And the same with Miles. He's a film composer in Hollywood. You can't find that work really anywhere else. And I thought, well, maybe if he decided to start a band or something, maybe he would move for Iris.
I feel like he's the most moving because he can be a film composer from another place.
Do you think
even
so?
In 2006?
Interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, people were like, there were whole albums recorded with people in LA and people in, your connections maybe but he has a job.
True,
so
true.
I'm just saying logistically speaking, why am I spacing those? Even like the early 2000s, there were whole albums that were recorded, like just with people being in two different places.
True.
But to what extent is that going to have to, again, technology wise? I don't think there's
even technology wise. I think
when I say technology wise, I mean like he needs to do it as a film composer. So they would have to probably mail him the high quality stuff so he can compose based off of the movie.
If you have money, people were moving large files.
In 2006?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
We were moving large files in 2006. My work.
But then a side question for you then.
Yeah.
If he is, say, an independent composer, how much are they going to want to spend the money to allow him to do that?
Well, he's not, though. He works for. But anyway, I'm sorry. Actually, I just got into. This
super
is what the discussion
is, right?
But continue.
But in my opinion, I think Iris is the most likely to move, only because she's a hard worker, but she doesn't seem super passionate about that particular job. I got the feeling that she was hanging on to it because it gave her an excuse to be close to Jasper. And now that she's finally cut him out of her life, and it seemed like a pretty thankless job, I could maybe see her moving, perhaps. But would she move for Miles? I don't know. I feel like I feel like what happens with them is that they essentially become BFFs. Like they were both there for each other exactly when the other needed them to be like, hey, you're worthwhile and you're worth loving and you don't need that person in your life anymore who's just like treating you like crap. So I think they're both very grateful to each other. I think maybe they try to do the whole romance thing when he's visiting in England, but then they're like, we're good friends, you know? I think they become like bros essentially, and like they're each other's shoulder to cry on and they're always keeping in touch. So that's what I see happening with those guys. With Amanda and Graham, I think they might give a go of it, but eventually I don't know. I think it might not work out. And I think that he in particular will be heartbroken about it. And it might be too raw for them to really like remain friends, but still sort of look back on that time like bittersweetly, maybe. And I'm going to say that Amanda has a fling with John Krasinski because and
I mean, we're talking wish fulfillment
exactly,
here, right?
Exactly. And like speaking of fantasy, I'm going to say that Jude Law meets a wonderful author whose manuscript he's edited, and she turns out to be the love of his life.
Does she have piercing blue eyes and a wonderful laugh? Possibly.
But that's what I foresee happening with those couples.
Interesting. Okay. Polina, did you want to go? Or
I, despite what I just said about, so I actually, I'm definitely in your camp with Miles and Iris. Like, I think that, I think this is like a huge shift. This is coming at a really good time for both of them, where they need to shift a lot of things in their lives and become each other's like leading, become the leading man and lady that they need to be in their lives. And like, I think that, like they do have a kind of such a weird bond of friendship that happens so kind of magically that like it will bond them forever. I think he'll stay for a little while. Like I think he'll actually stay for much longer because I think he will be able to either like put his work on hold for a little bit, or maybe they're between movies.
I think he extends his stay in England.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think like at some point it's like, I don't think she wants to move because I think her family is actually the thing that's going to keep her there, and that she loves visiting LA, and that actually that will become a big part of her life, like just visiting LA because it's so different than her life. And that'll be like the thing she does every year. Like she starts actually, because they joke that she's never taken a vacation, and you do get a lot of vacation time in the UK. So I'm going to assume that that's what she does every year at Christmas, or maybe not at Christmas, but she comes back for I really need Amanda and Graham to stay together, because if not, they are messing with those children so bad, and I can't look at them, those little children, and think that they're gonna like fall in love with her, and then she's gonna leave. I actually think Amanda is really realizes how messed up she is, and is like, I don't want to live in a palatial house where the whole thing looks like it's about to be sold and it's been staged. I don't want that. I don't want that for myself anymore. She can liquidate that business. I think she takes a break and then shifts. I think that somehow like a lot of I think Graham actually has friends. More friends than is evident from that New Year's Eve party. I think she starts.
Well, that was a family party.
Yeah, no, it totally was. It was adorable. I was joking.
Friends at the pub.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, so he had those two friends, and they clearly seemed close. And I think she's gonna basically put things on hold for her business for a few months, for about 3 or 4 months, and be like, you know what? I want to liquidate this. I want to. She's going to make contacts. She's still going to be like high powered. She's going to be in the film, there's going to be a film industry. There's a film industry in London. And she's, it's not as lucrative, but she's going to start, she has something really valuable because she's got those connections. So she can be part of that, like, bridge between Hollywood. Like, I think she's going to make it like, and I need to believe that they will work, because if not, then it's just utter child abuse. They lost their mom like a few years ago. They can't, like, this can't happen. So I just want I want it to work. And I think Amanda is ripe to go, you know what? That life I was living, great. not for me anymore. I'm in a different phase of my life. I want to believe that. I want to believe.
Yes. You're in the X-Files. You want to believe.
I want to believe. Okay. I want to believe despite my logical brain saying this is, that they just fell in love at first sight and they made a decision and they're making it work.
Okay.
Aw, too romantic.
That's really
I know. Somewhere between my hard and crusty exterior.
Oh, we can get you some soap for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That would be nice.
All right. No, I don't want to stomp on your...
You know what? It's all mine and I own it, and therefore you don't have to stomp on it. It's just there.
I don't have to stomp on it?
I mean, you can stomp on it, but it will not die.
Oh, I see. I see.
I'm good because I'm putting it in my hard and crusty behind my hard and crusty exterior. And it's difficult to penetrate that.
Okay. I'm going to stop thinking about crusty and penetrating and try to get to what I was thinking. So I think we're all in the same boat with, even though Kate Winslet and Jack Black are fine, there's something about that particular relationship that doesn't sit right. And I do like the hopefulness of the whole them becoming friends. And what I actually see happening is they'll attempt this whole thing and they will be friends. But I see a eventual just kind of parting and with apologies, I'm not even going to stomp. I'm going to squash the hell out of this.
Squash it.
No, it's not even that.
Let's see how long. Let's see how long I can keep it up.
No, it's the heart wrenching thing. It's the relationship isn't going to explode. It's going to be, their breakup is going to be part of a scenario where it's going to involve Arthur's passing.
Aww.
And so she's going to come back and there's going to be a ceremony, and he's going to leave her something in her will, not like a huge chunk of change or anything.
I think he's going to leave her some like some memorabilia of some kind
that she can sell on eBay.
Sell that Oscar.
Well, do you think that was hers, by the way?
I think that was before she had an Oscar.
Really? Okay.
I think.
No, you might be right. I don't know. Whose Oscar was that?
I don't know.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Could have been Eli Wallach's.
It could have been Dustin Hoffman.
I mean,
maybe. It
probably was Eli Wallach's.
It's probably a prop, people. Let's really use the logic here. No, I see her coming for the funeral and that being used as a catalyst for just like them parting their own ways, because they're going to be not looking at their own mortality, but just looking at their life, the life that he has lived and what they want to accomplish. And so they realize that they know they can't do it with him, being at a base here and her being at a base there, wanting to be with her family, wanting to travel a little bit, but at the same time, she knows who she is, but she's just no longer bound to the way Jasper used to be or how wonderful Miles it is. So he's going to be like a stepping stone for her, and he's going to be fine with it as well. And it's not going to be a really big issue so much as just, but they're going to be friendly, but probably not like as friendly, in each other's cheerleading corners type of situation. So I'm halfway between you and you. So that's them. And you notice that because they didn't have such a big impact on us, like their future is just kind of not impactful either. Now, in terms of Amanda and Graham, I don't see it going. I'm sorry for the sake of this. Think of the children. I'm not thinking of the children. In fact, for a brief period, I thought that maybe they would be the catalyst for the breakup, because she's thinking about, does she want to have kids? Does,
That's a lot to like gain kids. And it may be that they are not so into it when it becomes very real, right? Like right now they're like, it's fantastic. She's really fun. But then when she's like, has to be the mom, they're suddenly like, or not the mom, but like the disciplinarian.
Yeah. And also there's always that potential of just like, well, they're not your kids. And it's, that could be a thing as well. But also like maybe, what do you mean maybe? This is my scenario. Okay. Like, what if she wants to have kids and then he's just like, no, I don't want any more children. We have our family. But what if he wants more kids? Because he is that family. And she's just like, no, I got my career. I see a lot of things just like really butting heads. And because we didn't get to know them that well, there's all this potential for it to go different ways. So I'm going to say she's going to maintain herself. I love that fling with John Krasinski thing.
Yes. No,
but she's a good boss.
It almost made me want to like rethink my whole thing, which I've done before. Where I've had it thought out and then rethought.
Or maybe you go the other way. She has a fling with Kathryn Hahn. I don't know.
Oh my God. Now, okay, forget it. They don't last. She leaves right away, so the children are not hurt.
I feel like I'm being very wishy-washy with my future, but considering the movie was very wishy-washy as well, I'm going to say they're not going to end up together.
just going to be where they are and just continue and try to find their place in the world. I am going to say that Iris and Amanda will stay friends, and they will also be a way of them realizing that they need to bulk up their support system and friend network, because that was really missing. It was really missing. And I think that there's just so much to be gained from, friends in your life to make you not want to kill yourself on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Don't trivialize that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's the biggest thing that's missing. I was like, why are these people?
Why are they friendless? I mean, even Edward Burns' character has a friend.
I mean, she kind of like, I guess Iris sort of has, like, she has that work friend.
The work friend.
Oh no.
Who is like not very nice.
No, she's a terrible friend for one. And I hated
that's
that.
true.
And second,
that is true. She has one friend and she's terrible.
Well, she's also played by the amazing Sarah Parish, whom I love from this. This is great. She's in The Wedding Date and she plays the cousin. That's that's the Deborah Messing, Dermot Mulroney movie. Where it's basically Pretty Woman in reverse, but throw in a wedding.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie more than I should. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about.
Why haven't we done that movie?
Why haven't we done that movie? Because it's very complicated.
Why we haven't done it?
It's
or the movie itself is complicated.
That is a different Nancy Meyers movie.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It's one of those movies where it's just like, when I say guilty pleasure, I mean guilty like, don't look at me. I watched this movie.
It's too real.
I don't want to watch this movie. But again, I think the reason I like it as much as I do is because of Jack Davenport, who is like a side character. But she's great in that. But I like her more in that there is this series called Shakespeare Retold. And she plays Beatrice in the Much Ado About Nothing in a news organization version of Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, now I have to watch that Shakespeare Retold.
Yeah, I think it's great. So I really like her because anyone who plays Beatrice gets like 12 extra points of awesome in my acting lists, we'll say.
Yeah, it was a real friendship desert in this movie, which is why I enjoyed their little chat conversation so much. I thought it was really cute, those moments of female friendship, even though the chat conversation was like so impulsive, like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I liked the hints of the Amanda Iris friendship.
Because it seemed like they both really very quickly recognized that they're both in the same place.
Yeah, kindred spirits.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, I do like this idea of them staying friends because of that they're like these sort of people in each other's lives that are like, girl, come on. And I think, like, you don't get into this again. This is old you. Let's move toward new you.
Did the thing with my brother teach you nothing?
By the way, you slept in my bed with him. Weird.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. Oh man, okay, that just burst my bubble. That it's gone. All right. Anyway,
grossness. Okay, so all right, there it is. Jude-Ly. Jude-Ly. It was so good.
It was so good.
It was so great.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh man, we really appreciate you coming and sharing.
I appreciate you having me.
It's been such a blast.
Thank you for inventing a month-long holiday.
And I didn't have to come up with a movie for like 3 whole episodes. I think it's been I can't even remember what it's like to come up with a movie.
Oh wow. Okay, so with the closing of Jude-Ly, I'm so sad to just try to like close the episode because that means it's officially over. But I guess if we're going to do the regular stuff, we'll just go with, all right, if you want to be sad with us about Jude-Ly ending, you can get us at Twitter. We're at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
Oh, no, don't. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to re-pep ourselves and talk about our sponsor, Frankie and Myrrh.
Oh, yes.
Am I saying that right? Myrrh?
Yes, I think you are.
So Myrrh, is that right? So MYRRH, and Frankie is FRANKIE. And what's really great is that if you go, they have this like great selection of aromatherapy. Before this episode started, I sprayed onto myself and inhaled their Study Buddy, and I'm just like, oh wow,
how do you feel?
It's just like, well. Okay, I sound hyper right now, but I promise you it's a really good energizer. I mean, I can also say that it's like a whole Jude-Ly, Meg is here combination, but, just the scents were just really great. I was reading, just all the ingredients and I'm just like, yes, yeah, hang on, spritz. Oh, good stuff. Right.
And there's like a good level of strength, like it's not like
it was not overpowering.
like even, it's not like I've been using it in my office and the study buddy. And it's like, I don't feel guilty about it. Like where I'm
not like that.
I mean, I have a closed office. I have a closed door office that no one ever goes to, strangely. Maybe I should think about that and do things differently. But just letting people know. But like, it's really nice. Like I don't feel like it's so overwhelming that I'm like torturing everyone else in my office, but it has made me more focused. It's part of my little getting to work ritual now.
No, I like that. And for me, I was hesitant because I'm very fragrance sensitive.
Yes.
So I have the fragrance free detergent, and my lotion is just like, hey, oatmeal and like a hint of air, and that's my lotion. Yay, hydration. So, but no, this, I just took it in there. We did the spray the bitch away last time. That was really nice. I borrowed Study Buddy from you, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. So I'm looking forward to some of the ones that are vanilla based.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. We're going to have to play. I like this.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a Frankie and Mer buddy. We can like get stuff and then like try it,
But if you would like to try your own, you can go to their website. And what's really great is that if you use the code happily at checkout, you'll save 20%. And then purchases over $35, free shipping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I say.
And you'll get to 35 fast. Yeah. It's really difficult to edit that cart.
I like hey, it's not a trick.
No, it's certainly not a trick. I'm just saying, don't be like, oh, free. I'm never going to. Yeah, you will.
No, it's really.
I'll get that and that and that.
It just, all this sounds really cool. So I'm just going to be working down the line.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you informed on all of that. So that's great. So thank you, Frankie and Mer.
Yeah.
All right. And so I think I got as far as Twitter, but you can,
we're on Facebook too.
Yeah,
at Happily Ever Aftermath.
And also
wow, that's good.
And Instagram, we're at HEAMCast.
Yes, and you can email us even.
Meg
at.
Oh, sorry, you were in the middle of that. How can Meg email us?
Yes, Meg, could you please email us?
I will.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay, so it's contact at happilyeveraftermath.com.
No, that's not right.
It's HEAMCast. See, I never email us. Okay, don't do that.
You don't want me to email you.
No, I do. I just can never get it right. So it's contact at HEAMCast.com.
That's correct. Yes. All right. And then, so Meg, Jude Law expert.
Yes.
You also have some other expertise as well.
I like to pretend to. So I host 2 other podcasts. You can find me hosting the Indoorswomen podcast, which is a pop culture podcast. So we also talk about movies like this lovely conversation here, TV shows, all sorts of stuff. You can find us at Indoorswomen on Twitter or any podcatcher of your choice. My new podcast is Pod Appétit, which is a Bon Appétit fan cast for the Bon Appétit YouTube channel, in which we attempt to cook things and also talk about Bon Appétit videos. You can find us on Twitter at pod_appétit. You can find me at Meg Writes Words.
Yay.
That's me in a nutshell.
Do you have any writing projects that you want to?
Oh, sure. Well, yes. Thank you for the reminder. I have a murder mystery novel set in Japan. It is called Red Tea. Red like the color, tea like you drink. I would be so appreciative if people were to pick that up and read it. And yeah, I'm working on a vampire novel, but that one's not available for consumption yet.
I can't wait. That's my, yeah, I really enjoyed Red Tea.
Oh, thank you.
A lot. And you learn a lot about Japan, which is kind of fun. Like there's a lot of fun details.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I hope that it transports the reader a little bit.
Definitely did.
Yeah.
I felt like just thinking about it, I was like, oh, I remember, that feeling.
Cool. All right. So thank you very much again, Meg.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll try to invent another month for you.
I'm sure there's some like puns that someone will come up with.
You hinted at Ewan McGregor and
did come up.
Wait. We can do that? I've totally wanted to do that.
Ewan McGregor? Well, yeah. Well, also, I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but there is also Robert Downey Jr.
I've just invited myself onto your podcast all the time. And also, fun fact, Ewan McGregor and Jude Law used to be roommates.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said roommates. I was thinking of something else.
Well, sign me up for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yes.
They used to date.
When I found that out, I spent a lot of time thinking about other things. Yeah. Well, we'll have to, September, October, and November are difficult too, but I'm sure we'll figure something out.
I'm going to put this out there. Meg, you're welcome back.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Goodbye. Next time, I'll be wrestling with a complicated figure from my past. We will be watching Hannah and her sisters, Woody Allen's 1986 movie. See you then.